The island of Vaken is where our story begins. This oblong island, less than 12 miles across, hides deep in the southern oceans and far from the nearest mainlands. Resting comfortably on the island of Vaken is a small town of the same name. Being weeks away from the politics and wars of kings, the people of Vaken lead peaceful, quiet lives, fishing and hunting as they please. The only real trouble for the island people comes from the nearby tribe of lizard folk. However, time has worn these conflicts, and both sides have settled into a silent agreement of mutual avoidance. The other main feature of the island is a stone temple at the peak of the island's only mountain. The people of Vaken will occasionally speak of the temple in whispers, for it's well known that the temple is guarded by celestials of terrible power, and speaking too loudly of them would surely pull their gaze towards you. It is, after all, unwise to provoke angels.
This is not where I thought. What is this? Where is?
Those are trees.
Why?
However, none of these features is where we'll be starting our focus. No, our first look will be at a small shack, sitting cliffside and far from, but overlooking, the town. This shack, which is a fairly sturdy construction, boasts only the bare amenities needed for survival. On that hill, by that shack, stands a half-elf man, looking towards the village. He casts one long contemplative gaze at the town before turning to begin his day's work, for today would be his last day on the island. But your ship has fallen somewhat into disrepair. There was a storm, an unexpected storm, during one of your outings, and it scuttled your ship briefly. You have been waiting for kind of a tinker to finish your part, and it was going to be delivered to you today. But that person has yet to show up. You arrive on a scene which appears at first to be very straightforward, but the more you observe, the less you feel you know is going on. You see a villager who seems to have been trapped in some quicksand. From a distance, he is in fact made of felt. His hair is in fact made of string. And their mouth, whenever they scream, seems to open and close, taking half of their face with it, like a clam of some sort. This strangely colored humanoid is odd, even for you, who's traveled quite a bit.
And my name is Gary Poppet.
Yes!
The reason that you were knocked into this quicksand isn't because of a lack of skill, but because of a recent skirmish that you had with some lizard folk, particularly one lizard folk who has plagued you for a while. The lizard folk you know as Korth Bronzeclaw has rarely ever made much of an effort to hide himself. He is bigger and meaner than most of the other lizard folk. He and several other of his companions attacked you and stole a satchel that you were meant to deliver today. Gary is actually, looks like a capable warrior equipped. Whether or not Gary is a good fighter is remain to be seen.
Thank you.
You are very, very welcome. What did you used to be?
Human.
Okay.
I
What?
used to be very famous, actually. Oh, I had to deliver something.
What did you have to deliver?
You reveal that it was the local shipwright who asked you to deliver this part.
Alright, well, I need to find my ship piece, and I'm guessing you wouldn't mind a bit of revenge?
I'd love to.
Perfect. Well, let's see if we can figure this out.
Being that you've only ever seen the entrance to the temple at a distance, you're surprised when you arrive and you find that you are met with a scene of complete destruction. The doorway, which has been rough carved into the side of this mountain peak, has been absolutely decimated, and the artistry is almost indistinguishable from just rubble.
Who are you?
My name's Theron.
I'm Gary Poppet.
Why are you here? This is my house, not your house. I don't really talk to a lot of people, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Really?
You're not a person, you hush.
That I can...
What are you?
Apparently not a person.
Are you?
Yes, I'm a person.
No, you're not.
We're trying to get out of here as soon as we can. All I'm looking for is a ship piece, but there seems to be creatures still in here that we gotta deal with.
I'm a little worried.
About what?
Korth's a troublemaker. Korth isn't break into the temple troublemaker.
So it's about at this point that you hear from the other side of the door the loud shattering of glass.
No!
Let's go take care of that and then argue about who came in first.
I will throw you in this chasm. If
I will throw you in behind her if you do.
I can. I'm afraid of disappointing my parents.
The one that is on the ground now, it looks with a panic, and then it looks up at you as though to figure out which of these things would be more distracting and upsetting, and it smashes the case. And as it does, blinding light radiates out from it. All of you, for a brief moment, are blinded. And when your vision returns, you can see that the light thing is no longer there. And the lizard folk has suffered some horrifying fate. Because where it previously stood, it appears that a tree instantaneously has grown out of its midsection, splitting the lizard folk nearly in half and instantly killing it. This tree is now well rooted into the ground, and the light thing is gone.
I am going to pick up the sword.
When you grip the sword, it feels important. You can feel the weight of its importance, and you feel that weight in this sword. But it also feels like it's missing something.
This thing is broken. They broke it.
This is about what I expected.
Analah is not very smart. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Can you go ahead and reveal what is the intelligence of Analah?
She has an 8.
She has an 8 in intelligence.
Okay, so she's dumb and she hasn't interacted with another living creature in 500 years.
You're beginning to feel a sort of dispelled illusion about the omnipotence and danger of the guardians of the temple. You were led to believe that they could call lightning and moonlight down upon you at a moment's notice if you even offended them. Peeking into this hallway, you see that it leads to one final gouged up door. This door is actually already cracked. And as you open it, light pours through and you find yourself outside. It's no wonder that you've never really noticed it before, because below you is the roaring ocean. You are on the cliffside of this island. But that's not the most attention-catching thing. You also see, floating casually down this island, that ball of light. And it's moving towards the far end of the island where you know the lizard folk make their home.
So I turn back to you and
I've never been out here.
I was gonna. Well, don't have to ask that then. Never mind. Did you just shout that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
This is not where I thought. What is this? What is?
and you begin to move forward. And as you move towards the lizard folk home, it takes several hours, actually. So, as you arrive at this location, well, you've never been to the lizard folk home before, but this is not what you expected. There is patches of fungi and mold growing over parts. There are places where there are just bones, bleached bones, sitting in dirt. There are more trees. There are strange squelching sounds occasionally coming from nearby, as you see this village is in ruins. It looks as though lightning has struck in multiple locations, and plant life and verdantry has sprouted up everywhere, including within the bodies of the lizard folk. And there is nothing alive here. There is not a single lizard folk that has survived this. But the ball of light is hovering just 20 feet over the center of the village. Bits of lightning begin to crackle and spread out along the ground and through the air. And you hear a voice from further in as a person steps out. This person, their body is completely black. But within the deeper parts, under armor, within the edges of muscle, and most of all, from within their smile, you can see a glowing ember red. And their voice says, "I wouldn't come any closer if I were you."
What happened here?
Life.
This does not look like life I am used to.
No. From the perspective that you're in, I'm sure it does seem like quite a bit of death. But in reality, this is life. This is growth. This is health.
Whose life? Whose growth?
Whatever happened to be underfoot. Little seeds, forgotten things. Things that were starved and doomed to be choked out. You should brush up a little more on your history, Guardian. If anyone here should know what this is, it's you.
I've been alive for a very long time, but they left me alone years ago. They said they were leaving, and I wasn't ever allowed in the temple.
The Guardians that came before you definitely failed you. You shouldn't forget that. They owed you something that they didn't repay. But that's not what we're going to deal with here today. He points up at the ball of the light. You've released something dangerous into the world. You're gonna have to deal with that.
Who are you?
Give it a little time. But this is taking up too much of mine. So here you go. And he snaps his finger, and the ball of light begins to pulse aggressively and violently. And you can see, again, things begin growing all around you. Little lightning strikes here and there, just the faintest, thinnest lightning as a tree will burst up, or a shrub, or some mushrooms, and it begins moving towards all of you as he turns and just walks out of sight. You step towards it and you hold the sword out, and the sword hums. Lightning strikes you. The areas where all this verdant tree was suddenly growing, all of the growth stops as this ball of light seems to focus entirely on you. Bolts of lightning all wrapping around this sword until violently it shudders and shoots off at a speed you have never seen anything move. It rips down across the waters and out to the north. It's not hard to find Korth because in the biggest, most formerly ostentatious tent, you find the body of Korth. Most of him has been melted away, and it seems been replaced by fungi and mushrooms. And next to him is a satchel. You find the machined part that you needed for your boat.
Finally.
I leave once a decade, and you guys break in.
We didn't break in.
Murdered a bunch of people.
So were you?
Probably helped them.
You were in there. We don't know that you didn't
We've
turn
been
your hand
helping
into
you
trees.
this whole time, and
You're not helping me. You just wanted your thing back.
well, this has all
I
been
really thought about
lovely.
it.
I'm gonna be getting off this island as soon as I can.
What's your hurry?
Staying in this one place for too long, it's
Great.
got me antsy.
Great. You can take the tall lady to find the ball of light. We'll have a great time.
I mean, doesn't sound like it'd be boring.
How are you gonna get there?
I don't know, but how can I leave the temple?
You saw a number of carvings and other artistry inside that looked to contain some information that might be of use to you in identifying at least what that thing was. The part that most tantalized you is that there are other temples. Yours is unique,
It's a special temple.
but there are other temples that exist to the creators and to the spirits of creation. Theron, you are working on your boat. It's very apparent when that isolation is broken by the sound of footsteps behind you. You see the wounded lizard folk that Gary left alive. What happened? My friends and the trees. What did you do?
Honestly, I'm as in the dark as you are. A being was there that I can't even begin to describe.
Darkman?
Yes.
Darkman broke the temple. He make deals.
Deals with your people?
Strong. He give weapons. He give ideas, foods, beat strong people. He say, come with, take things. You gonna kill me?
Don't see a reason to right now.
You strong. You beat me. All alone now.
I know how that is. We're gonna be taking off not too long from now, within the next day, to look and try to find out what happened here. I'm going to be strict. You're more than welcome to come.
He nods his head, and he moves over to the boat, and he assists you. You sail out into the water. You don't have a direct heading as of yet, but you know about where you're going. And in time, you'll probably find more about what it is that you're actually meant to do. But for the brief amount of time before you wave goodbye to the island that you've all been on for this period of time, all of you have been living in isolation and alone for quite a while. And all of a sudden, you have traveling companions. You don't know them very well, you're not great friends, but you know them enough to be comfortable. As you progress forward into the path of, for sure, danger, it's actually a welcome relief to know that while you're looking forward, there are people next to you who can watch your back.